Breaking news! The Miami Dolphins are racing against time to resolve both draft and internal issues. The situation of some players still worries coach Mike McDaniel. We need to talk about something important involving Zach Wilson. But before we start, I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Dolphins will make the playoffs next season? If so, hit the like button. If not, comment here with your opinion on the matter. Anyway, right, go Dolphins! Fins up! In the last few hours, a piece of news has been circulating among analysts and fans. In fact, it's a question that's bothering some of the coaching staff. Can the Miami Dolphins fix Zach Wilson? That's the million-dollar question that's circulating right now, and it's one that Dolphins fans should care about. Because let's be real, Tua Tagovailoa, as talented as he is, has only managed to get through one full NFL season healthy. The odds are pretty good that Miami will need a capable backup at some point this year, and that's where Zach Wilson comes in. But can Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins coaching staff really fix what's holding Wilson back? Zach Wilson himself seems to think he's in the right place. Speaking to the media, he's praised the Dolphins' offense, calling it extremely explosive and emphasizing how much talent surrounds them. And he's not wrong. This is a team loaded with firepower: Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, one of the league's best pass-catching running backs, and an offensive-minded coach who knows how to maximize a quarterback's strengths. If there's one team that can give Wilson the best chance to succeed, it's this one. But that's only part of the equation. The biggest issue for Wilson hasn't been talent. It's been his ability to process the game quickly, go through his progressions, and make the right decisions under pressure. With the Jets, that simply didn't happen. Over 3 seasons in New York, Wilson started 33 games and won just 12 of them, completing only 57% of his passes for 6,300 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 25 interceptions. Not exactly inspiring numbers for a guy who was taken with the 2nd overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. However, Wilson insists he's improved. He spent the 2024 season in Denver backing up Bo Nix and working under Sean Payton, a coach known for getting the most out of his quarterbacks. Wilson says he learned a lot, particularly when it comes to pocket awareness, reading defenses, and making faster decisions. These are exactly the areas where he needs to improve if he's going to be a legitimate option for Miami. And let's talk about the fit with McDaniel. If you've been following the Dolphins over the last couple of years, you know that McDaniel and his staff have done a great job of tailoring the offense to Tua's strengths. When Tua came into the league, people questioned his deep ball, his decision-making, and his durability. But under McDaniel, he's developed into one of the most efficient passers in the NFL. Wilson is hoping for that same kind of turnaround. He even referenced Tua's development, saying, "You've seen what Tua has gone to since he's been here, so I'm just excited to be with those guys." That's the right mindset. He knows he's not walking in as the starter, but he wants to soak up everything he can from the coaching staff and his teammates. Of course, talk is cheap. Wilson still has to prove it on the field. One thing working in his favor: his athleticism. He's more mobile than Tua, and he's got a strong arm. That gives the Dolphins some flexibility if they need to adjust the offense should he ever be called upon. But the key for Wilson will be showing command of the huddle, making the right reads, and executing efficiently. That's what separated Tua from the backups last year. Tua had complete control of the offense. He could recognize a play call after just a few words from McDaniel, get the team lined up quickly, and make adjustments on the fly. The backups? Not so much. That's why the offense completely fell apart when Tua wasn't on the field. Wilson seems to understand that. He spoke about the importance of leadership, keeping the offense moving smoothly, and making sure there's not a massive drop-off if he ever has to step in. That's encouraging. But again, words only go so far. The reality is, the Dolphins need a backup quarterback who can step in and win games if necessary. The past couple of years have shown how vital that position is. Miami doesn't just want a guy who can keep the offense afloat. They need someone who can execute at a high enough level to win. Chris Greer, the Dolphins general manager, made it clear that Miami was going to leave no stone unturned at the quarterback position. He even mentioned the draft as a possibility. Now, does that mean Miami is actually going to draft a quarterback? Probably not. At least not early. It wouldn't make a ton of sense for a team in win-now mode to use a high pick on a developmental QB. But it does mean that Wilson isn't just being handed the backup job. He's going to have to earn it. And look, the Dolphins don't need Wilson to be a superstar. They just need him to be competent. They need him to be able to come in, execute the offense, and win games if Tua goes down. It's really that simple. If McDaniel and his staff can identify Wilson's strengths and build around them, just like they did with Tua, there's a chance this could work. What do you guys think? Can Miami actually fix Zach Wilson? Does he have what it takes to be a solid backup in this system? Or is this just another experiment that's bound to fail? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. and let's talk about it. And here's the thing, Zach Wilson isn't just fighting for a backup role. He's fighting for his NFL career. Let's be honest, when you're a former number 2 overall pick and you're already on your third team in just 4 seasons, the league is telling you something. This is his shot to prove that he still belongs. If he can't show growth in Miami, if he can't demonstrate that he's learned from his mistakes in New York and Denver, then what's next? Another backup role somewhere else? A trip to the CFL? Maybe a coaching gig down the line? That's why this situation is so intriguing. Wilson knows what's at stake. He knows that if he doesn't show improvement here, his days as an NFL quarterback, at least in any meaningful capacity, could be numbered. And that pressure can either break a guy or push him to new heights. Now, the good news for Wilson is that he's not walking into a dysfunctional situation like he did with the Jets. He's coming into a stable, well-coached offense with a clear identity. He doesn't have to be the savior. He doesn't have to carry the team. He just has to be ready if his number is called. That's a very different reality than what he faced in New York, where he was thrown into the fire immediately with sky-high expectations and very little support. But here's where it gets tricky. Can the Dolphins actually make him better? Can they unlock whatever potential made him the number 2 pick in the first place? Because let's face it, Wilson hasn't just struggled, he's been outright bad. His decision-making has been shaky at best, and his accuracy has been inconsistent. The arm talent is there, but he hasn't shown that he can consistently make the right reads, get the ball out on time, and play within structure. And that last part is key, playing within structure. Because Mike McDaniel's offense is all about timing, precision, and rhythm. It's about quick decisions, pre-snap recognition, and making the right throws to the right spots. That's not exactly Wilson's game. He's more of a playground quarterback, a guy who likes to extend plays, throw off platform, and make things happen outside the structure of the offense. That's great when it works, but it also leads to a lot of chaos, which is exactly what got him into trouble with the Jets. So, can Miami change that? Can they take a guy who struggled with structure and mold him into a system quarterback who can thrive in a timing-based offense? That's the big question. One way they could do it is by simplifying things for him. And we've already seen McDaniel do that with Tua. When Tua was struggling early in his career, McDaniel came in and built an offense tailored to his strengths. He focused on quick reads, RPOs, and getting the ball into the hands of playmakers as fast as possible. The results? Tua turned into one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league. Now, will it work? That's a different story. Because for all the adjustments McDaniel can make, Wilson still has to execute. He still has to show that he can process the game quickly, make the right decisions, and deliver accurate throws. And so far in his NFL career, he hasn't proven he can do that consistently. And that brings us back to the original question, can the Dolphins fix Zach Wilson? Can they take a guy who's been a disappointment so far and turn him into a competent NFL quarterback? It's possible, but it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a level of growth from Wilson that we just haven't seen yet. So what do you think? Can Miami make this work? Or is Wilson just another failed first-round pick trying to hang on? Let me know in the comments. And if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got plenty more Dolphins content coming your way. Fins up!